Hey, as we start today, I've just been thinking about this idea of being triggered. And we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now. And what's really interesting about this idea of being triggered is it's so much easier to see when other people are being triggered than picking it up in yourself, right? But we all have those moments and we're like, oh man, I'm triggered right now. Something's setting me off. Something is making me mad. But it's so easy to see that in others faster, thank you, than it is to see it in ourselves. That sometimes we lack the self-awareness to realize I'm being triggered until things explode. And as we've been going through the series, we talked in week 1 about how often it's these false gods that we've got that bring about these triggers. Last week we talked about, man, oftentimes what really brings this emotion stuff out is because of something that happened when we were younger and when we tie it back to something. And this is big stuff and that's important. But I want to just slow down a little bit this week and I want to talk about why sometimes are we triggered by the trivial. Like it's not deep. There's no childhood trauma. It's just trivial stuff and it triggers us. Maybe it's someone chewing loudly. Maybe you're trying to just get somewhere and there's someone in front of you walking along and you just can't quite get around them and you're like, just get moving. Maybe you've got in a car and your phone like always connects to the Bluetooth and then one day it doesn't and you're like getting mad and you're turning the car on and off and you're like, come on. It's like, oh. It's just these trivial things. Maybe you get to the self-checkout at the supermarket and it's like unexpected item again and again and again and again and you're like, I just wanted to buy 3 things. Maybe you've pulled your computer out, you're at a meeting, you're about to do a presentation, something's going on and you need it, and at the very moment you get it out and you need it instantly, it's like computer updating, 212 minutes remaining. Oh, come on. It's often these trivial things. Some of the things that ruin our day. Some of the things that just change the trajectory of where we're going are so trivial. Why do we do it? I was sitting in traffic the other day, just heading into Wellington. And I started to get a little bit mad. I started to get a little bit like, you just get a bit angsty. Oh, what's going on? And do you know what was triggering me? What was triggering me were you're just seeing these people try and swap lanes all the time to save essentially going to be 7 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, it's all going. If everyone just stay in your lane, just do your thing. But there's people going, meh. And then suddenly I'm secretly, because I'm quite a competitive person, I'm like, I hope I get in front of you just so I can give you a nice big smile. But there was something in me that was like, I'm like, well, why is this even annoying me? Like, it's not affecting me. It's slow anyway. Oh, I'm not running late. I'm all good. But for some reason, seeing this in other people was just doing something to me. And then I started to think about it. If something that small, if something that tiny, if something that inconsequential can control my emotional state, what does it say about my spiritual maturity? Like if little things have got so much control over my emotional being, what's that really saying about the level of spiritual maturity that I've got? And like I said before, we spent the last 2 weeks talking about some pretty deep stuff, right? Some stuff, childhood trauma stuff. We've talked about false idols and then these gods. That's important stuff. But today we're just going to focus in on this trivial side of things. Because the truth is, most of us, we're not triggered daily by this deep stuff. We're triggered daily by minor inconveniences. Yes, the deep wounds matter. Yes, that's important work and we'll come back to it. But on a Tuesday afternoon, you're not spiraling down because of something that happened to you when you were 4 years old. You're probably spiraling down because the Wi-Fi is running slow, because traffic's bad, because someone's breathing too loud, because your coffee order was wrong. Come on. It's trivial, right? but it's triggering. We've been there. And there's this tension inside of us. These small things shouldn't bother me, yet I know that they truly, truly are, and they're stealing my peace. We know that these things are small. We know that they don't really matter, they're inconsequential, yet still our reaction is a bit over the top. And then if we're honest, come on, we feel a little bit embarrassed by the fact that we're triggered by them. But we can't seem to stop. And here's what I want to suggest. That our spiritual maturity isn't simply measured by what we know, rather a better indication of our spiritual maturity is how easily we get triggered. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. The more spiritually mature I am, the better I am at loving those that are around me, not quoting specific scriptures. What if, to get a real picture of how spiritually mature I am, I look at how easily I'm triggered, about how quickly those reactions come to play? What if, when I'm triggered, or how quickly I can get triggered, reveals how mature I am? That my response to life's minor irritations actually paint a really good picture as to how close I'm walking with Jesus, how much I truly trust God. And here's, if I want to push a little bit further, well, what if we just realize that it's our emotional capacity, our emotional capacity that has a huge determining factor on our kingdom impact. See, if we're consistently triggered by the trivial things, we won't have the emotional bandwidth for what actually matters, for loving people, for serving God, making a difference, impacting our world. See, well, why do trivial things trigger us? Why do trivial things trigger us? There's a few reasons. Let me run through a few. One here is we're already maxed out. We're already living in such a busy world. We've got so much going on that we're kind of continuously going through life just redlining. And our emotional capacity, it's kind of like a cup. And in our cup, it's full of stuff like work stress, financial pressure, relationship tension, maybe parents' demands, kids' demands, maybe it's stuff that's happening in the future that we're worried about. It's there, and there's no room left in this cup. And so even just one more drop, and the thing starts to overflow. It's that traffic light, that slow internet connection, and bang, everything's coming out. See, the trivial thing isn't in of itself the problem. Rather, it's the last straw. It's the drop that forces everything else to start coming out of the cup. That's why sometimes we can handle the bigger things, but then it's the little things that get us, because our cup is so full. In fact, we did a whole series about this a couple of years ago called Margin. It's on YouTube, and we go through a whole lot of things, because living with margin when it comes to our time, when it comes to our finances, when it comes to our relationships, is so important, because it stops this happening. So that's a great resource if you want to see it. But one of the reasons trivial things trigger us is because we're already maxed out. A second reason why trivial things can trigger us is because they feel like a disrespect to our time and to our effort. See, when you go home and you see that mess, and that mess triggers you, it's not just the mess that's triggering you. It's this idea of, do you not appreciate, do you disrespect all the work I've done to keep this area tidy? And I've got this thing tidy, and then in 1 second you come home and all of this, it's a mess again. When your technology fails, it's not just about the technology failing, but it's about this expectation that everything should just work. It should just happen. When someone's late, it's not this thing that, they're only 5 minutes late. It's more, do they not even appreciate, do they not respect my time? What's going on here? We take trivial things personally. Another reason trivial things can do this to us is we've lost our perspective. We live in a culture of convenience where we expect everything to happen straight away. We want instant downloads. We want those deliveries to turn up straight away. We expect perfect customer service when we go into a place. We want everything just to work smoothly, be frictionless, absolutely easy. And when life doesn't cooperate, we start to lose it, right? What's happened is we've become entitled to ease. And when our ease is disrupted, even slightly, we struggle to handle it. And then the fourth reason we get triggered so easily by these trivial things is because we can be spiritually immature. So here's a real hard-hitting truth for some of us. So some of you are sitting here going, yeah, I'm so spiritually immature. This is all good. I'm good. I'm not even into the spiritual thing. But if minor frustrations control our emotions, I suggest we're not as mature as we think we might be. We might know our Bible. We might serve in church. We might put on the right face and say the right things, but our maturity isn't defined by what we know, it's how we live. It's defined by what we do. And there's the cost of this stuff. But when we're triggered by the trivial, it comes with a price tag. You see, the one thing we do is we waste emotional energy. Energy that could go into loving people, energy that could go into serving God, energy that could go into tackling real problems goes into being angry about cars pulling in and out of lanes on the motorway. We damage relationships with this stuff, right? We snap at people we love over things we don't matter. Come on, all of us can think back to times in our lives where relationships have been just broken a little bit. And sometimes it's not always a super close relationship, but it's that friend, that's acquaintance, and that relationship's just never quite the same because at one point, at one time when we got a little bit triggered, we said something we shouldn't have said. And then we were too proud to go back and say sorry, and that relationship is just, it's easier just to walk away. We damage relationships by being triggered. Come on, for those of us that take our faith seriously, we lose credibility when we get triggered by the trivial. Well, what does it really mean to our friends, to our classmates, to our workmates? When we're trying to help them see that we're a follower of Jesus, that makes our life better. When all they see is us getting so mad because the Wi-Fi at work's slow that day, or we lose it because someone left a dirty cup in the kitchen at work. And we're triggered by the trivial, and people are going, come on, man. I thought you were a follower of Jesus. You need to have a level of peace about you. Aren't you meant to be kind, nice? And we lose our credibility over these trivial things, and we can't make the difference that God wants us to make right where we are. You know what else happens when we get triggered by the trivial? We miss what God's doing in our midst. We get so irritated by minor inconveniences that our mind is so caught up on that we miss those divine appointments that God's got for us. We miss those moments of growth, those opportunities to serve, those opportunities to care for the people that are in our orbit. You see, the trivial, it consumes us, and it's the kingdom that suffers. Paul talks a little bit about maturity in 1 Corinthians 13. He says this, he says, when I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. So what are some characteristics of children? There's a lot, but a few that help us today is this. Children, they have low frustration tolerance, don't they? It doesn't take much to frustrate a child. They're so easy to frustrate. Oh, what else is true about children? Children want everything now. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Like, what's for dinner? You know, you put something in the oven. Like, we're going to make some cookies. You put them in the oven. Are they cooked now? Can we have a cookie? Well, what else do children do? Children, they throw tantrums when things don't go their way, right? We've all seen this. Doesn't get what they want, straight away tantrum. Children, they have trouble regulating their emotions. Children, they think everything's about them. We're the center of the world. Everything's about me. But mature adults, they can delay gratification. Good things take time. I'm heading somewhere. Yes, I'm putting this work in now and it's going to produce a result later. Mature adults, they have perspective. They see things for what they really are, what's consequential and what's not. What really matters and what doesn't matter so much. Mature adults, they can regulate their emotions. They can prioritize what's important right now. Mature adults, they can think beyond themselves. It's not just about me, it's about we. Paul's question to us from this passage might be, hey, are we still reacting like a child? When Wi-Fi is slow, do you throw a tantrum? When plans change, do you go and sulk quietly in the corner? When someone's annoying you, do you lash out? That's childish. And Paul would say, come on. That was okay when you were a child, but now you are an adult. God's calling you to maturity. Luckily, Paul writes about this a little bit more. I want to take us to two other passages. One Paul wrote and one's tied back in the Old Testament that they talk to this idea about what maturity looks like. In Ephesians 4, Paul says this. He says, be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love, make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. You see, this little passage, I think, gives us the markers of maturity. First one here is humility. Be completely humble. You know, humble people aren't easily offended because they're not consistently protecting their ego. Well, when you're humble, you don't have to protect your ego and think that everything that comes at it is like a threat to it. No. Well, when you understand who Christ is and what he's done for you, you actually realize, I don't have to prove that I'm right. I can sometimes even have a conversation with someone and be right and not have to tell them that I was right. Because it's enough for me to know that I'm right. I don't need you to know that I'm right. I'm just okay with that. You can keep thinking that, that's cool. When you're secure in Christ, you don't need to prove that you're right. You don't need to defend your reputation. You don't need to demand respect. Trivial things don't trigger us because we realize that, hey, we're not the center of the universe anymore. Mark of our maturity says, how humble am I? It's a lot harder to get triggered when we're truly humble. He says, be completely humble. Be completely humble. I think it's a C.S. Lewis quote that always gets talked about when it comes to humility, right? Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. But he doesn't say just be completely humble. He says be completely humble and gentle. Be gentle. Do you know what gentle people don't do? Gentle people don't escalate minor frustrations. When someone's late, we've got a gentle response. When plans change, there's a gentle response. Technology fails, there's a gentle response because you're a gentle person. This doesn't happen because you don't feel frustration. Well, of course, there's a level of frustration that we're going to feel. Of course, there's something inside of us that's going to be like, oh, this isn't it. But we have the emotional capacity to respond gently because we can regulate ourselves. So quick check here. How are you doing? Completely humble? Completely gentle? Really? He goes on. This doesn't get easier. He says, be patient, bearing with one another. Do you know one thing that every patient person's got? Margin. You know, some of us, we get triggered by the same thing every morning. We get triggered by traffic every single morning and we're mad. And then the problem isn't the traffic, the problem's actually us. It's because we stayed up too late the night before. And we try to set our alarm as late as we could possibly leave it. And then we get up in the morning and then we're already 10 minutes late because we hit the snooze button. And then we get in our car and the traffic that's there every day gets in our way. We're like, that damn traffic. And then we build ourselves up right on the way to work. And they come, why are you cutting in and out of lanes, you fool? I want to smile at you. And then we can't find a car park. And And then we finally get into the office and we walk into the office and we're already mad. And the day hasn't even started yet and no one's done anything to us, but we set ourselves up to fail. You know that it's impossible to be patient if you haven't got margin? Come on. If I know I need to be there at 8 o'clock and it's going to take me 12 minutes to get there and I'm leaving at 7:48, man, there's always going to be a level of tension inside of me. If I'm leaving at 7:51, it's going to be even worse, right? If I leave at 7:40, now I'm not going to be so inconvenienced. Patient people always have margin. Patient people aren't operating at 100% capacity all the time. So when life happens, you think about it, when's something going to go wrong? Like Dave Ramsey does his teaching on money, and we use a lot of his material here when we run a group on money, and he talks about this idea of everyone needs to have an emergency fund. He's like, when's your car going to break down? Is it going to be next week? Well, maybe. Next month? Maybe. Next year? Maybe. In the next 10 years? Definitely. You need to have an emergency fund because then when the emergency comes, it's funded. It's not a surprise that the car's going to break down in the next 10 years. But it's always a surprise when it happens. When we've got no margin, we're not able to do anything about it. We're maxed out, so the smallest things tip us over. We've got to be patient, bearing with one another. Come on, this is the reality of interacting with humans, right? Like, there's no human relationship that are all ease. There's no human relationships where everything's just smooth and easy going. There's always some level of friction because we're all people. There's something I do that's going to trigger you. There's something you do that's going to trigger me. Come on. The funniest people have come out to me going, Clint, well, what do I do when the people that trigger me the most are those closest to me? It's because you know them the best. If you swap them out for other people close to you, guess what? They're going to trigger you just as much. In fact, you're probably lucky that you've got those people around you, because if you had other people, you'd be triggered way more. Right? It's just the reality of human relationships. We've got to bear with one another. There's, in a world where it's so easy to be triggered, we're called to bear with each other. That's one of the most powerful things I think about a church community. I think it's why people should be drawn to this place. Because we come into community and we can together, we come and when we're rough, but as we spend more time together and bear with one another, we rub each other's rough patches just a little bit and we get a little bit more smoother. And when we stay in community, because we're just a lot more smooth because we've been dealing with these rough edges over and over and over and over, and we're all better because of it. We've got to bear with one another. And it says bear with one another in love. Love gives people grace for being imperfect. Love gives people grace for being imperfect. Those slow walkers, they're not trying to ruin your day. They've just got knee issues or something. Or maybe they're just appreciating the beauty that we who are in a hurry miss because we're so focused on where we've got to be, we can't see the incredible surroundings that are all around us. Come on. They're that late friend. They're not disrespecting you. They've just got some challenges with time management. Come on, we've all got at least one friend. We've all got at least one family member. If you can't think of one, that person's you. Well, there's one in every group, right? Just notoriously late, consistently late. It always happens. This one's a little close to home, but chewing loudly. But the truth is this, right? Yes, it's annoying, but I'd suggest that it's not a character flaw. It's just annoying. You know what love does? Love assumes the best instead of the worst. Every time there's something going on, you and I, we make assumptions. One of the most powerful things I've tried to train myself to do, and I'm still a long way from doing this properly all the time, but one of the things I've tried to train myself to do is always assume the best. that person's running late, man, there must be a really, really good reason why. It's all good. Always assume the best. That person said they were going to do this thing, they never got it done. Now I'm going to assume the best. But they probably had some really important stuff come up in their life that they're dealing with, and then that's all good because I just asked them to do something little, and something bigger, more important has come through. Love assumes the best. But the goal of this passage, I think, is tied up here. It's about unity and peace. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. Make every effort. Not make some efforts. Not make a little effort so you can sort of give yourself a pat. I tried. We've all done that, right? I can show that I've tried, but I haven't really tried. No, make every effort. Maintaining peace isn't passive, it's active. It takes work, energy, intentionality. And the truth is, when we're consistently triggered by things, we can't maintain unity. We can't build community when we're irritated all the time. You can't serve effectively when you're emotionally exhausted by minor frustrations. You can't love people well when you're consistently on edge. See, trivial triggers, they sabotage kingdom unity. Paul lays out so nicely here the markers of maturity. I don't know about you, and I don't know where you are in your faith journey, but I think these markers are something that those of us who are followers of Christ, come on, we should be growing in these things. We should be more humble today than we were a year ago. We should be more gentle today than we were a year ago. We should be more patient than we were a year ago. We should be able to bear with one another better than we used to be able to. We should be able to love better. But even if you're here and you're trying to figure out this Christian thing, come on, you want to be that person, don't you? Like there's something in you that says, yeah, I want that level of humility. I want that level of gentleness. I want that level of patience. I want to be around people who bear with one another, who don't accuse but genuinely care for each other. And let me take you back to one proverb. This is just cool. This is what Solomon wrote right back in Proverbs. He says, a person's wisdom yields patience, and it's one's glory to overlook an offense. Notice here, a couple of truths just real quick. First one's this. Notice that it says wisdom yields patience. We often get this the wrong way. We think if I'm patient, I'm going to become wise. Well, Solomon says, no. Wise people are patient. We think if I'm just more patient, I'll mature. God says, no. Grow in wisdom, and patience will follow. What's wisdom? Wisdom's seeing things from God's perspective. It's understanding what really matters. It's knowing what's worth your energy and your time and what's not. Wise people don't get triggered by trivial things because they can distinguish between what's eternal and what's temporary. They can distinguish between what's significant and what's inconsequential. They can spot the difference between the things that deserve a response and some things that can just be overlooked. Wisdom yields patience. What Solomon also points out here is that it's glorious. Notice the language here. It's glorious to overlook offenses. This is crazy. Because our culture says, stand up for yourself. Don't let anyone disrespect you. If there's an offense, make sure you get out in front of it. If someone does something to hurt you, make sure you tell everyone about it. If you're hurt, get revenge, right? Solomon says it's glorious to overlook an offense. You know that there's glory in letting things go? This changes the way we look at when people offend us. But this is a chance for me to show glory. You offended me, I'm not going to fight back, I'm not going to get back. This is a chance for me to show glory. The more you offend me, see, imagine if we can actually live this. The more you offend me, the more chances I've got, the more opportunity I've got to show glory. It's counterintuitive. See, there's glory in us letting things go. We don't let it go because we're weak. We don't let it go because we're a doormat. But because we're secure enough that we don't need to make everything into a battle. This is counterintuitive. We think strength looks like calling out every wrong. We think strength looks like banging our fist on the table and defending our rights, making sure every person knows what we're right, knows that we're right. But God says strength looks like having the capacity to simply let it go. So let it go. Come on, if I looked at every offense as a chance to show glory by letting it go, like if that wasn't just like, oh, that sounds like a cool idea, Clint, but something I could internalize and practice and get better and better and better at over time. The trivial things just aren't going to trigger me in the same way, are they? Because when that thing offends me, when that thing upsets me, it's just a chance to show glory. Yeah, it's all good. I'm chill. Might there be a little bit of hurt there? Yeah. But oh well, all the better opportunity to show glory. See, I can't help but go here just again as I quickly try and wrap this up. But I think this is so important. This is vital. This is why this stuff comes out right throughout the scriptures, Old Testament, New Testament. Because there's a connection here with what Jesus has done for us. You see, what really is happening, honestly, when we look at why these trivial things are triggering us, it honestly is because we've made I call it the 3 C's. Comfort, convenience, and control our functional Savior. We really do believe that life should be easy, things should work smoothly, people should accommodate us, our time is sacred, we deserve better. But what the teachings of the New Testament teach us is that this actually is idolatry. Think about Jesus. Come on, Jesus, he had every right to be triggered by the trivial. His own people rejected him. The religious leaders of the day, they consistently opposed him. They consistently made life hard for him. His disciples, they're pretty slow to understand sometimes, right? He had to repeat things over and over and over and over. People interrupted him consistently. His plans always being disrupted. I mean, he had nowhere even to lay his head, he says. If anyone deserved convenience, surely it's the Son of God. But if you look at the life of Jesus and you see what he does, he always was patient. He continued to serve. He always loved and he always gave of what he could to those that were around him. Because Jesus wasn't looking to creation for what only his Father could give. His security wasn't found in his comfortable circumstances. His security wasn't found in people treating him right, things going to plan. His security was in his Father's love. And here's the crazy truth to this. The same Jesus who endured the cross, the ultimate injustice, the ultimate inconvenience, he endured it for you so that you could be secure, so that you could be loved, so that you could be free. When you're secure in what Christ has done, honestly, these trivial things lose their power. Not because we pretend that they don't exist, but because we're not looking to circumstances for our peace, because our peace is found in Christ. We're not looking to convenience for our security, because Christ is our security. We're not looking to control things for our own safety, because Christ is our refuge. See, if Christ is our treasure, then losing smaller treasures, even daily, won't devastate us. If Christ is our treasure, if he is the most important thing, if he is at the top of the pyramid, then losing smaller treasures, things that fit underneath him, even daily, it won't devastate us because we know that the number one treasure is where it should be. Slow Wi-Fi, slow Wi-Fi can't threaten what Christ has secured. Traffic can't steal what Christ has given. Inconvenience can't touch our identity that's found in him. You see that the gospel, the message of Jesus, doesn't just forgive our reactive behavior. It removes the false foundation that our reactivity is built on. We're no longer dependent on life being easy because we're dependent on Jesus, who endured the hardest thing so that we could have eternal ease. You see, we're not entitled to convenience. It's better than that. We've been gifted grace. Let me pray. Yeah, Heavenly Father, it's so easy. We've been talking about it for weeks. It's so easy for us to get triggered. And the truth is, we get triggered by the trivial over and over and over and over. And here I am, been thinking about this, preparing for this, teaching on this, and get triggered over something so inconsequential as just watching cars change lanes on the motorway. And it doesn't even affect me. Father, our desire is to be people who love you, who love those that are around us with such a level of authenticity and genuineness that other people see the way that we love one another and are like, wow, how do they do that? I want to be part of something like that. And yet, Father, it's often those trivial things that trigger us, that prevent us from loving each other the way that we should. So I pray you can help us to be humble, to be gentle, to be patient, to bear with one another in love, so that we can be the people you want us to be and have the impact on this world that you want us to have. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.